All right, we're back with another episode of the Sad Powers podcast. Today we have a comedian friend of mine, Moïse, everybody. What's going on, man?
Not much, not much. Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro, of course, of course. Fucking, how long have you been doing comedy, man?
How long?
Yeah.
I started like stand up October 2017,
Hmm.
but before that I've been doing like improv in school and in my neighborhood I grew up at like we had like community stuff, so they always do like improv and theater and stuff like that. And kind of always been a goofball, like yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. I feel like if you're doing shit like that, it's way easier to start comedy, right?
Yeah, it,
Mhm.
it, it felt like it felt like my whole life like comedy was like, well, I guess like if people tell me I'm funny, I should try it out at one point to see if
Yeah, yeah.
it works. I don't know, because there's people that are funny, but you innocently call them a comedian. But uh, yeah. So how about you?
I've been
Like,
doing it
what did
like
you
4 or 5 years now. I don't remember like the exact time that I started, especially because like for like the first couple years especially, I was doing it like once a month maybe, right? So I wasn't like
Right.
taking it serious, like grinding, and like I was like back then I was doing it like at like vape lounges, shit like that. So it's like the fucking the
Right.
crowds are always like super baked and not that many people. You know what I mean? I was like, so then like once I started
Yeah.
like doing like actual comedy clubs and like became friends with other comedians and started like going to like other places besides the Niagara region and shit, then it's gotten like a lot more fun and like I see like actually potential and like once you start getting like a little bit of money, it's pretty sick too. Like I've only like headlined
Yeah.
twice, got paid like $50 each time. And then I've
Oh,
gotten
that's
paid
not
like
so
10, $20 for like random shows and shit. So I'm not making like anything close to real money yet, but it still
bad,
feels
bro.
like once someone pays you, then it's like, yo, there might actually be something to this, right?
Uh, it feels like $1 million every single time you get paid to do comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Like even like $5, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I remember someone gave me like a
Yeah.
bunch of change one time because it's like a pay what you can show, and I got like some fucking loonies and shit.
Like it sounds good.
Yeah,
Even if you pay me like fucking roll up the rims, fucking winning donuts, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this is great.
yeah. Here's a fucking roll up the rim donut, bro. That'd be so funny, actually.
Just a bowl with random things. It's like, oh,
Yeah, just stick your hand in and grab something. You could have whatever it is.
okay.
That'd be hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Um, so like, do you do like anything else like in the like realm of comedy still? Like, do you still do improv and shit like that, or?
Um, yeah, I did some. Nothing formal as much,
Hmm.
like nothing as formal, but I like to I love imitating people or like characters, and so, but I feel like, so now I guess I've been trying to write more, like maybe write sketches more, or
Hmm.
maybe even like a script, like a lot of comics. I realized like, oh man, I imitate people and I talk about certain characters, and there's no place for them to live in that realm until I make them fit. Unless I make them fit in the stand up world.
Hmm.
So I guess I've been thinking about that. I'm trying really hard not to like start a TikTok or any online thing because I feel like it doesn't excite me as much, but
Hmm.
it's also still comedy. So I'm trying to explore that world like of keeping those other part of comedy because I started as an improv, so whenever I
Hmm.
get to like riff and just be a goofball with no consequence, so to speak, no script to stick to, that's always fun and liberating.
Yeah, and you were saying like with the script during like doing like a short film or something. you have so many comedian friends that would just be down to like act for free, right? So it's like you have an
Yeah,
advantage there too, right?
that's true. That's what I realized when I got lucky enough, like other comics invite you to work on their projects and work with their stuff. You're like, oh, it's not as big as a thing as I make it seem to be. It can just be
Hmm.
like it can literally just be something like something fun that you create with other comic friends, and just even the process of starting something makes it even more fun. And once you're going through the motions with other people, you realize how fun that on itself can be.
Yeah, for sure. And like with like the improv and shit, I feel like you'd be good at doing like crowd work. Do you like? I don't really remember you doing much crowd work at all when I've seen you.
No, not actually. That's the funny part. Like actually, I realized like I was like such a like a joke person, like so
Mhm.
focused on the joke, but that's not how like that. And then it's actually recently, like right near the pandemic, I realized okay, I got more comfortable with jokes, and I realized well I kind of want to just be able to make people laugh the way I make them laugh when I'm not on stage. Like I don't have a list of joke if I make like a cashier laugh at the store or whatever, or even
Mhm.
my mom. So I'm trying to implement that more into my stand up. I think it's mostly fear based. Obviously, like if
For
I
sure.
know joke works, if I know joke work, I'm not gonna want to take the risk to like rip off and things go off the rail and just that the obsession I think comics have like perfect joke. I want everything to be perfect. And there's actually a comedian I heard speak in another podcast just talking about how like he went to do a show. He was like a guy who just rips, and he went to do a show in New York. He's like, New York comics are so serious. They're like, I didn't do my octopus joke. Fuck, I'm mad. I'm like, what the fuck about your octopus joke, man? You just go out there and make people laugh, and that changed my perspective on it. Like, but like, how about you? Like, I'm curious about how you decide to implement the ukulele. People who implement
Right.
the musical side part to your comedy. When did you start playing music, and when did you feel like it was a good idea to bring that on stage?
Well, like I've always like had like a bunch of instruments and stuff. I'm not very good at any of them. Um, but like same with you, like with comedy, like I was doing like so even like rewind it before then, like I used to battle rap, right? I used to be a battle
Oh
rapper a
shit!
long time ago, yeah. So like a friend of mine that also is a battle rapper, told me he's was gonna do stand up comedy, right? And I was like, sick, man, me too. So he like hooked me up with like my first show, and he never
You know,
started doing it. Like he did like two shows
did
or
he
something.
ever did he ever come to Taps?
Maybe is Big
Hamilton?
Dubs or Dylan Weber. I've had him on the podcast a couple times. It's
Okay,
a cool guy.
I've seen you at a show one time with one of your friends who said he was a rapper, and I think his
Yeah,
Instagram
that
was.
was probably him. That was probably him. So like,
Okay, cool.
but so I took like all my like jokes for my battle raps, right? And I like just made them not rhyme and like did a bunch of one-liners. And then that was like
Okay.
my thing for like a year or two. But it was like same thing. I was like so afraid to like try something new because I knew that those worked, right? So like I
Right.
was, and then I had like all these other ideas and stuff. And then I don't know, like with the ukulele, like at first I was covering like Filthy Frank songs, so like I did that a couple times at shows, but that was
Oh,
kind of weak because like wasn't my own thing. I'd even say like this is a cover or whatever, right? But I was like
right.
just starting and then I don't know, I just started like just like when I'd be like bored at home smoking weed or whatever, I just started like writing songs and stuff, and then they went really well, and then that became like a staple, right? But it's like
Right.
because like I only do comedy really like in this area mostly, it's like people get sick of shit really fast. You end up saying
Right.
like the same audience members, so it's like fuck, I gotta come up with something new, gotta come up with something new. And I've been doing
Exactly.
showtime like every Thursday, right? Since like quarantine,
Right.
pretty much. We're not quarantine, but since like shit opened up again. So then that forced me like again, like fuck, I need new jokes, and I just started getting the audience to suggest like words, and then I'd make like a
Right.
freestyle song about it on the ukulele.
Oh. That's
And it's
awesome.
actually been killing, bro. I've only done it twice, but like both times it went so well. It's like better than my own jokes have done in like forever, you know? So it's like it feels good.
That's so cool. Like when like artists finally like when you step into the unknown, like the things that can come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool things too. I realized about when you come from a smaller scene, like you actually have to push yourself and like because you see the same people all the time, so
Hmm.
you need to write and eventually you're like fuck it, like I gotta take suggestions from the audience.
Yeah, and it's like it's actually like a blessing in disguise, maybe, you know? Because like even
Yeah.
like that poo finger joke, have you heard that? Me do that one?
No, I've not heard that
Ah,
one.
damn. And what joke of the year? Wait, I got the thing. Joke of the year,
Oh,
poo finger tabs.
two finger, and it's it's stuck on the bucket. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah, that is funny. But it's actually like a true story. It's funny you haven't heard the joke, but it's like it's a true story that happened to me when I was like 19, right? And then I started doing comedy probably like 25, and then I
Is it
only told that story when I was like 28, like last year.
is it related to some ice wiping incident?
No, so it was actually like a more of a sex thing, right? I was going down on a
Oh,
girl, and she's like, "Stick a finger in my butt," right?
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, yeah. And then I was like, all right, and I stuck the finger in the butt. But then I could stop thinking
That's,
about the poop finger. It kind of like ruined the sex for me.
yeah, you just finishing your job like
Yeah, yeah. Like, ah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to tell the whole joke out here. I already got it on
this.
there, like on my channel and shit.
The joke has nothing to prove anymore.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
Yeah, I
That's what
won
it
a
was.
fucking award. But it's like if I didn't get like pushed out of my comfort zone and like being like fuck I need new jokes, I never would have said that on stage, you know what I mean? And it became like one of
Right.
my favorite things. Like I was just like the one liner guy for so long, but one liners are hard because it's like they're more rather I feel like rather than writing them, it's like you're discovering them, right? So like anyone else
Right.
can like find the same one liner, you know?
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's true. And they're hard because when you're one liner, your laughter percentage it has to be higher, and
Hmm.
you're talking about so many different. You're telling maybe four jokes in a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
When 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 you get the light, you got four more jokes, and like by that time you already uh, went to so many different like subjects that
Hmm.
a regular stand-up you can just do like maybe one joke in 1 minute. You can a lot
Yeah.
of comics can do a 2 minute joke, and then it's the same topics, the same themes, but one-liner are it's good if you can master them early on because after
Hmm.
that, if you don't want to do the one-liner thing, you have a lot of one-liners good to start a show, to segue, or to end, like
Right, or
as an
just yeah to
ending.
throw in or whatever.
As a
Yeah, for
throw
sure.
in, it's a great it's a
Hmm.
great skill to have, like
Hmm.
writing a good joke.
Yeah, and like I'm like more deviating away from that now. It's like got like more like stories and stuff which I like. I never thought I would become that, but I'm happy that I have because like one-liners are so fucking hard. Like you know what I mean? It's like, and when you do like finally get one, like it's like yes, here's like 10 seconds, and then I can add to my
Yeah,
set. You know what I mean?
it's
Or
such a
whatever.
volume game. It's
Yeah,
such a
exactly.
volume game.
Hmm.
Like you could write 20 and there's maybe one that's a guarantee for sure banger. The
Yeah.
rest you kind of still workshopping them all the time, and
Yeah, there's a
sometimes
bunch
those
that I
lines
cut out like over the years of just realizing, okay, no matter how many times I try this joke, it's never gonna get
yeah.
laughs. You know, no matter how many so it's like I gotta cut it out. Like I used to
And
say,
do you,
okay, go ahead, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, do you ever get that thing where like exactly like you have a joke that works super well like a couple times, and then after that it just never worked, or some get reaction you think you got it, and then you go somewhere else and then it just doesn't work, or one that just never worked and then you said it one time in the room and then
Hmm.
it started working and then you thought that would work and then you go back to a different room and then that whole process. So keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Like with the like audiences are crazy like that. That's why like when I've seen like lots of comedians I like do like an awesome joke and get no laughs. And then like after the show I feel like I have to tell them I'm like, yo, don't like abandon that joke. Especially if it's new
Right.
and they say something like, "Oh, that's not work, fuck that joke." And I'm like, "Yo, you got to try it like 10 times
Yeah.
before you even know if it's cuz like yeah, I've seen jokes completely bomb, and then I've seen them completely kill just based on the audience or like where the comedian put it in their set or like how they said
Yeah.
it. You know, every like little tiny thing matters. Like even if you say like
Yeah.
or something, like it's weird. It's like this fucking fucked up science.
It is this fucked up science, and that's what we have to understand sometimes as comic. Like you have to revisit the recipe of the potion every time.
Hmm.
So you can't just be like, oh, the joke didn't work. Well, what was everybody looking at you when you told the joke? Were you speaking clearly? Did you say, well, was it too dirty? Did you have the
Hmm.
wrong segue? Did the energy of the room change? Can you change the wording? Sometimes it's just that, like you just have to say a certain word before that one, and that makes the joke makes more sense. Is
Hmm.
this maybe it's a good joke, the punchline was good, but you didn't give the right setup. Most of the time, when a joke doesn't work, it's like setup. That's like it's not. I didn't hear that from me, but like I think it was Jerry Seinfeld who said that.
Hmm.
Like most of the time, you revisit the setup because if you lose them in the setup, the punchline is not gonna hit. But it doesn't mean that you don't have a punchline. Or sometimes you have. So it's a whole. You're right. It's a good thing to tell comic. Like if you have a joke, if you have a joke that doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean it's a lost case. But
Yeah,
that's
and I
yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's where like your job as a comedian is. It's literally knowing what to keep and what not to keep.
Yeah. And like pausing is super important. Like I got friends that are comedians that just rush through their set and it's like they're bombing. So then they like go even faster, you know what I mean? And it's like where it's like you just gotta slow down and like give the audience a fucking chance to laugh sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's like that takes a long time to learn actually.
Hmm.
Cause then it happens when you bomb, and it also happens sometimes when you do good. Cause you
Hmm.
do good, and then you step over your lap because you're so excited to get to the next joke, and
Yeah.
you want to give him all the good stuff that you have. Yeah, the pacing allows them to pause and breathe. I when I think about it, it goes end in end with like trying something new. Just that's like a real skill as a comedian is being comfortable with quietness and pauses. Because then
Hmm.
it's the same as trying a new joke. It's just you're uncomfortable when you don't hear laugh and when you're not talking. So
Hmm.
there's gonna be times um, in normal human interactions when you're with a person and you're not talking or nobody's talking. So as a comedian, you have to. Your job is to make them laugh too. So you have to give them the space to laugh too. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's right.
Yeah, you can't just be like fucking talking. It's like some people, it's like, where do you think the punchline is in this crazy story that you're just rambling on about? Like, where am I supposed to laugh here? I got a problem with that, like, for years or whatever. But, like, my friend that also wanted to do comedy, Dylan Weber, would always tell me, like, after every show he'd come to, he'd be like, slow the fuck down. You know what I mean? And it's good to have, like, friends like that that put you in check because I feel like a lot of it is, everyone just says good job. Like even I do it. Like if someone bombs
Yeah,
just because they're another comic, I'm like, good job, man. You know what I mean? Good
yeah.
job getting up there.
But it's so crucial to have those people who don't sugarcoat anything and tell you
Hmm.
the truth, and that's true too. Like sometimes I think we do that as a reflex. I say good set, just like sometimes I do it just so the comedian doesn't feel like shit. Just so like,
Yeah.
cause you know how it is when you like you feel like you have an existential crisis every time you come off stage. You're like, is this worth it? Am I funny? And that whole
Yeah.
thing. So, but I rather like the people who are honest with you. Those are the people who tell you, because half of the time it's things that you already knew, but
Hmm.
somebody telling you it really confirms it. Like you kind of like, am I rushing things?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those are the best people.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good to have people like that around for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. Fucking, what are you watching on Netflix these days?
I've been watching. I've been watching. I haven't been using Netflix anymore because I got locked on my account. But I've been watching like documentaries. I watch like what I've been watching. I watched I watched I watched fucking Porky's recently.
Porkies, what the fuck is that?
It's a weird movie from the 80s about
Huh.
this it's a high school in Florida of like crazy horny ass kids and this race. It's weird, but it's like one of these. I thought it was like a cult classic movie.
Yeah.
So I watched that. I watched Wayne's World for the first time like recently.
Oh shit.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
wild.
all right. I watched Whatever Works. That's a Larry David movie.
Oh really? Fuck, man. Larry David's amazing. I fucking love that guy.
Amazing. Yeah,
He's so
that's
good, dude.
what he's so good. And
Hmm.
I've been I saved up a bunch of his videos because he just talked about his writing method,
Hmm.
which is just he doesn't really write anything. Like he'll write like the framework,
Hmm.
and then the actors will just improvise. And I found that very very intriguing. So I found one of his movies on the in the on demand for Bell, and it was really good. It was like Courage, like he kind of talks to the camera, and it's about him living in New York after getting a divorce, and you know how he is and being crazy and hating everybody.
Hmm.
And then this young girl that got lost in New York, and then he falls in love with her, and then her mom arrives, and then you slowly see the transition of like people from the south moving to the big city and changing and finding himself, and then him being philosophical and funny and angry and stuff. So I watched that, and then yeah. How about you? What have you been watching?
What's that movie called? The Larry David one? Because I want to watch that one if I get a chance.
It's called Whatever Works.
Whatever works. Okay, cool. I've been watching lots of Netflix because I get it for free. Because I'm just
Yeah,
using somebody else's account.
yeah,
But I watched like Queen's Gambit. That's like super hot right now at the chess and shit.
yeah.
Hmm.
I heard about that. What's that about? Like, I
It's
know she plays chess, but what's her story? Like, why is she
yes,
playing?
it's pretty cool. So it's like she's like an orphan, right? So she's at like an orphanage, and like the janitor teaches her how to play chess and shit. And she gets like addicted to tranquilizers super young. So it's like also about her
Oh
being like a
shit!
drug addict and shit. And she ends up like she's like a fucking partier. So like there's a story like in the show, and I think it's actually about like a real chess player. And it's like about this guy that would just party all night like crazy, and then he would wake up the next day and like crush people in chess. So
Holy
she's
shit!
kind of like the same way, yeah.
That's awesome.
Hmm. But it is like a lot of chess in the show. Like I like chess, so I don't know what it's like to for people that don't really like know chess or like chess, but it seems good because it's
Yeah,
been like number one on Netflix for a while. I think it's like number five right now. But and like my buddy DJ Brooks, I think you know him, right? He's a comedian.
yeah.
He like literally started playing chess because of this show. So now me and him
Oh
play all
wow,
the time. Yeah.
chess is a great game. I love. I don't play as much because I used to play like on the app, and it'd take me like I'd win one times out of 10, and then
Mhm.
sometimes I'd finish on a win, and I don't want to play again the computer just to not lose. But
Yeah.
it's a great it's a great game.
Hmm.
Like it's just it has a lot of great analogies for life. And I had a friend who's gonna he's like a chess guy who's gonna teach me more about chess. And yeah, it's a good game to get into.
Yeah, it's sick. It's so old too, and it's like such a sick game. It's like you're like literally
Actually,
going to war.
in Whatever Works, that's actually Larry's job. He was like he's a guy who won like a Nobel Prize for I think physics, but in that movie he moves to New York and he teaches kids how to play chess.
Oh,
That's
that's
like his
wild. Huh.
yeah, that's well.
Even like these grand masters of chess, like they all still like have normal jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like it's weird because like with other sports, like the best, like make all this money. They're like celebrities and stuff. But like with chess, it's like that's like kind of what they show in like the show too. It's like
Yeah,
the grand masters are still like driving shitty ass cars and like you
that's
know what I
funny.
mean? Yeah.
Like chess world champion bagging groceries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because even one guy I know, he's like he's won awards, he's won like competitions, and I'm like, oh, you just see him at the basketball park and he just paints and whatever. I'm like, oh, it's a noble life.
Yeah, for sure. You actually gotta fucking love it. Like, there's no playing
Yeah,
chess for the money. You know?
yeah. There's no. I'm like, I play chess and sign titties and
Yeah, yeah. That's fucking hilarious, bro. So, like, with like the script writing, it's like, do you want to write like a short film or like, what are your ideas?
um, I wanna. I have some ideas. I like. I write like I have a lot of things, just like movie ideas or character ideas, or sometimes just like random lines. And I kind of wanna. I wanna encapsulate something raw, like something like very just people that I've seen, people that have been around that I feel like I've been seeing on TV
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and just like yeah, so like I have friends that are just like that make music and live in the basement and like kind of just smoke weed and it just like it's just a different environment when I'm around them and different people that I'm like, oh, I love to write. I love to bring that to life into the world, but make it funny or make it interesting. And maybe it doesn't even have to be funny, but it was just different people that have been around and felt like before, like I want to kind of be like, yeah, I want to make a big movie that kind of feels like the way Tarantino movies feel, or
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese, or even Guy Ritchie movies, where it's action packed, but so grit and it's so much and so real that sometimes like even if it's not directly funny, it's kind of funny because
Yeah.
of how real it is. Like you
Mm-hmm.
watch a Scorsese movie, it's not well, except for like maybe Wolf of Wall Street, it's not a comedy, but it's definitely like funny parts in all of these movies just for like
Mm-hmm.
how real they are. And I like the wittiness of Guy Ritchie's writing style. Like it's just this guy just shoot the shit. So I kind of wanted to encapsulate all the movies and directors that I'm a fan of, but make it about my real life of things that I've experienced or people that I've seen and doing that. So I'm like I I I I know myself that like it's gonna come out when I've like actually the willingness to sit down and craft it up, or I can continue to do what I'm doing, which is just focusing on stand up and writing it bits by bits. Like I write like random lines,
Mm-hmm.
random characters, and once I have like an idea of like how I want to connect everything, I think I'll just write an outline and see what I want to do with it, but and
Mm-hmm.
try to like also I'm thinking about a lot of things at the same time, but also like pro- production wise, like I don't want to make something too grandiose, like fucking crazy. So I want to make an idea that I know I'll be able to execute.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. But the writing part is hard. I like writing, but sometimes it feels like I feel like a cop who hates doing paperwork.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'll get the fucking bad guy. Like I can tell you the fucking like if you guys somebody to sit down, I'll tell you everything, and then you'll write it down, and I'll tell you all the edits, and then you'll fucking do it. But it's it. You see, I've been fidgety the whole time. I'm actually very energetic and kind of need to be on my toes and play and do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things at the same time. But I think like kind of like the at the right time, I think I'll be able to like put out a decent script or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like jumping right into like a 2 hour film. might be like
Right.
super hard. Maybe try like doing like a couple short films first or something. Just because then you can like
Yeah.
figure out tricks or like maybe like make mistakes and it doesn't like ruin like this whole big thing. Because it's like that's so fucking hard to do. Even making a short film is like so hard, man.
Exactly. So that's literally like literally 3 days ago that's when it occurred to me. Like somebody posted like I saw a short film on YouTube. I'm like, oh, that would be good because it's not like a big thing. It's kind of
Hmm.
smaller. And the other thing too is that like I like rap too. So I've been writing more raps and stuff like that. So um I realized, okay, that's good because then I can, how they always tell you, like, you got to focus on one thing. I'm like, okay, I know comedy is my thing, but
Hmm.
a short film allows me to do comedy, music, and implement everything at the same time. So short film would be good because you can add rapping into that and build on that, like
Yeah, that'd be
the negative.
sick.
Yeah,
Fuck those people that say you only should focus on one thing. Like, you want your lights to just be boring? Like, you know what I mean? You
yeah. I'm like, I
gotta,
can't do
gotta
that.
mix it up.
You gotta mix it up. You
Yeah.
you want you know what you're good at. Like obviously you know your bread, blah,
Hmm.
blah, 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 bread and butter or whatever. But fucking that's always gonna happen for people who like to stick in their lane to
Hmm.
make you feel like you guys stick in your lane. And I'm like, fuck it. If I gotta change lane and crash, watch me crash. Like
Yeah.
don't okay, good. I can't do it, then fucking watch me fail. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't
Yeah, exactly.
don't affect you. But
Hmm.
yeah, making a short film. I think that's that's how I've narrowed down my what my goal is to, and that's good because you can even do like you can even just write 4 or 5 sketches related to the same thing, and then find blocks um
Put them
to
together or
link
whatever.
them in,
Yeah.
put them together, whatever. Because most films, when you watch them, it's mostly just it's scenes. It's like
Yeah.
different sketches put together.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's like almost like a lot of movies you could make into like a bunch of short films if you wanted to, really. Like
Yeah,
especially like comedy movies. They
yeah,
do have a lot of those like blocks or whatever, yeah.
and that's why like you go on Instagram now and even on YouTube, they're just like, oh, remember that scene of the movie?
Mhm.
That scene was a sketch. Remember that scene, or like the one that keep coming up in my mind is one of my favorite scenes, like Kevin Hart in 40-year-old version when he goes to the store and he gets into the fight with the black guy is like trying to get him to hook him up and then they get into a fight like yo that's your boy and whatever it's like
Yeah.
oh did I get caught on and that whole thing. I'm like oh that's a sketch and I think Steve Carell was talking about it. The whole movie was actually based on the Second City sketch that he had about a 4-year-old. The guy was a 40-year-old version, and it was just like it was at the poker scene. It was like, oh, you ever had sex? Like, yeah, boobs or like a bag of sand or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
like a
Yeah.
bag of sand. I was just gonna say that's so funny.
So that's a sketch as well. Like that's a sketch. So
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of like I realize the beauty of arts. It's like there's no fucking rules.
Hmm.
Like there's no rules. Like they shot that I think 1997. That movie was like a whole one take. You can do that if you want. You can shoot it part by part. Like you can do whatever you want, as long as like you have a final product to deliver. So yeah,
Yeah, that was like that movie was before a lot of them were famous, right? Like Seth Rogen and stuff is in that,
yeah,
and it's before he was around and shit, which is super cool.
yeah. I think all he had done at that point was maybe like Freaks and Geeks. I think
Yeah,
that's all Seth
exactly. Yeah,
Rogen had
yeah,
done
yeah.
at that time. And
But he's like a
yeah,
teenager in that. That's like a show. I don't think he was like writing that or anything. Like after
nah, he
40-year-old
wasn't
version,
right.
he like blew up and he started like
He
getting
did.
his own movies and shit and writing and
It was really funny in that. Uh, yeah, he was like I think he was like one of these guys who was like really fortunate because he started so young. Like
hmm.
things started stand up at like 14. So
Yeah.
so whenever you start young, you have such a good head start. But you also like you get to really know who you are, and you get to try a lot of things early on. Like he tried stand up. By the time he was 18, he already been doing stand up a long time. So and then he did the TV show,
Mhm.
and then he was always writing. Actually, he was actually always writing with his friend, I think, Evan. But yeah, he's funny. I
Yeah,
love.
that's dope. That is super lucky in a sense, you know. But it is cool because like we like found it on our own. Like he was almost like shoved
Yeah,
into that world, you know. It's like
right. That's true.
it's kind of nice to just like kind of like wander over, you know, like and you're like
Yeah,
to find
I
it.
yeah, exactly. I think that's the most fascinating thing. Like, I think he's lucky, but
Hmm.
for whenever you found comedy at your life, whenever it happened, you were lucky to find it. So
Hmm.
it happened at the right time for you. Sometimes there are these people who don't find comedy until they're late in their 40s, and they're
Hmm.
funny, and you're just like, yo, you wouldn't have anything to talk about if you would have found it earlier in your life.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like Joe Batello,
So
I think he started when he was 39 or 40. He wanted to start before he was 40, I think. And he's funny. I like him. But I
I
can't
like him.
imagine him as like a little 15-year-old doing jokes and shit.
Yeah,
He's probably just annoying.
yeah. And it was probably just like at that time, at that time in life, his mindset wasn't thinking about that. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't have made sense for him to. Maybe he was thinking about it and didn't do it, but
Hmm.
he didn't do it. So it just, I guess, it didn't transcend.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people probably like want to try it, but they don't really have like a way to get into that world, or you know what I mean? Because it's
Oh,
like I feel like lucky to live like near Hamilton, all these places that like comedy is like booming. Like if I was like out in Alberta, would I ever do comedy? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I know there's
It,
comedy shows that exist out there, just like not as much as down here, right?
hmm yeah, we're lucky.
Hmm.
That's we're lucky, like geographically speaking, like living in the Golden Horseshoe area
Hmm.
is probably the best place in the world. Like, if you really want to get better at comedy, like you can get on stage a lot of places and a lot of time and multiple times in the night. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's true. Like we're very lucky, and it's the thing you said. It's so hard to get into that world of comedy because I remember I wanted to do stand up since I was like 17.
Hmm.
Like I used to walk by, I used to see the yucks as like amateur, and I'm like, man, I bet I could do that. Like, because I was doing improv at the time, and I hated. I love improv, but I hated the fucking pretending to be happier than I actually am. They're like, yeah, really, let's go, let's like
Yeah, everyone does seem like way too excited and happy.
too excited
There's no
and
depressing improv like there is a comedy. You know what I mean?
yeah. There's no, there's no, which is weird because when I was doing it in school, we had categories. So we had sometimes it was just drama. So
Hmm.
you can't. It's an improv, but it can't be. It's not supposed to be funny. It's about who
Hmm.
tells the best story. But I I wanted to be. I wanted to be more. I loved it, and I love team working, and I love improv because you build on with other people, and I'm very collaborative. I love that because you didn't have to bring your own ideas. You could also bring on somebody else's ideas, right? But
Hmm.
I wanted to be more like a vigilante, and I didn't know how, and that's how I ended up going to Humber for like I tried to go to Humber for like a year, and then I took a year off, and then I went back, and then I never really graduated. But it was all because like I'm like, okay, I know I want to do comedy, I know I want to write, I know I want to do some like acting comedy, I know I want to do sketches, I know I want to do improv, I know I want to do stand up, but like how can I do all of those things at the same time? And fucking, so I found that, and that helped me to that like give me a push, so to speak. But you're right, like getting to the comedy world, it felt so absurd now, but yeah, it really does. But it's once you're in there, you're like, oh, it's pretty easy
Hmm.
because you'll meet a guy where all he ever wanted to do is comedy, lives in nowhere. You can really just get a mic, go to a local bar, and message comedians near. If you're in Alberta, you find a restaurant. Just ask me, hey, would you guys that does like band nights? I'm pretty sure everywhere in the world there's at least one place, a local bar that does live events, and then you just ask them to do a comedy night, and then you try to find some comedians online that be willing to come. Or
Yeah, exactly. Like once you're in, it's like super a lot easier because it's like I get like message people ask me to be on their shows or whatever. Like less now because of the fucking stupid COVID, but like
yeah,
it's like you know what I mean. It was sick. It's like I almost like a couple times like I wanted to actually quit comedy, but it's
right,
like I'm such a yes man, and people would ask me to do their shows. I'd be like, okay, I'll do this show, and I was never like going out of my way to find my own shows, but just from
right,
other people wanting me to be on their shows, like kept me going, which is awesome. I'm happy that it was like
yeah,
that, you know. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's
that,
like you really could like if anyone is listening and wants to get their own comedy show going, you can literally just do like what you said, is like go to whatever bar and be like, hey, I want to start a comedy show here, like maybe every Tuesday night, or like do one or two, see how it goes. And you
yeah,
can just message comedians, and they all say yes, and they'll all probably do it for free. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
yeah, of course,
yeah, you might have to pay the headliner, and like, but that's
yeah,
even that is usually like what, like 50, $100 or.
yeah, like, cause then now that I think about it, I'm thinking about like, actually the first time I did stand up, like unofficially, would be at like before I even did that, I'd be like at a party,
Mhm.
and everybody's in the basement, and then everybody was about to be like, wait a minute, I want to tell a joke, so that's why.
Yo, that's sick. I can't believe you actually
Well,
did that. Did it actually go
yeah,
well? Like,
yeah, it went well. It
that's
went well,
dope.
but and it was some of my friends, but some people that I didn't know about. I'm like, fuck, like there's people here. They've been drinking. I don't want to keep these jokes to myself. Like I did that. I did that a couple times, and then it just felt like. So yeah, even in that, like you have a family event.
Mhm.
I'm not saying go ruin like somebody's wedding.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
so
this particular guy, like,
funny. Yeah.
shut up, Connor. We gotta cut the cake for you. So I'm saying, if there's a will, there's a way, and
Mhm.
you can. There's a will, there's a way. Like, comedians are aliens in that way. Where like, if you know you have this thing inside of you that really wants to make people laugh, like, you'll find a way to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, I was at this party. There was like maybe like 15 people there or something. Like a couple of years ago, and I was trying to be really funny. I was talking a lot, and then someone was like, "Shut the fuck up!" And everyone else was like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, this is like bombing on stage right now."
Just bombing off stage.
Yeah, exactly, just bombing in real life.
Yeah, that's something I had to learn, like really, actually quite recently as a comic. Like, it's as much as about knowing when to stop as when to go, because comics are fucking annoying, and we think everybody wants to laugh always all the time, and it's such a blessing to hear us speak and make them laugh. But sometimes I've been called that too, like annoying and to shut the fuck up. It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, that comes with it.
yeah. Yeah, knowing when to stop, like even on stage, it's really good to know when to stop. Like
Yeah,
I was just at a show and my buddy was like destroying, and like he like did this one joke and he was so close to his time and it got like a huge laugh, and I was like, stop now, get
yeah,
off with that big laugh. And then he like rambled on for like another minute or so, getting no laughs, and I was like, you know what I mean? Like you could have left
yeah.
them with like a great taste in their mouth and wanting more. Instead, they were
It
like, go.
It well, it's just the I was gonna say like the ego, like we're killing like, oh, I want more of it, but
Mm-hmm.
learning to be satisfied and just there's nothing that'll be a bigger threat to your set than yourself. So just mumbling over a joke, like you already had them, but you felt like you needed to have them more than you already had them. Like
Yeah.
it, yeah, that's funny.
Mhm. Um, like, have you been doing like shows at all during like recently, like with everything going on? I know Hamilton's shut down now, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, Hamilton's been shut down for actually almost a month now.
Hmm.
I think it shut down officially like November 14th. But before that, I was getting on like quite often, to be honest. And then luckily, like there's some comics Hamilton allowed them drive, and then they go to do I actually been to Niagara once or twice, and then Welland, and then Waterloo, and then Oshawa was open. So since like July 15, when everything opened up, I got on stage quite a few times. Like I've been really really lucky. That was like I think by the it's just the big. I was more the scariest thing for COVID for me was like having to grasp the idea of like possibly not getting on stage anymore and
Hmm.
doing live stand up. That was like scary to me. And yeah, I've been getting up quite often. Not this past few months
Hmm.
since everything shut down. I don't think I did a set. I don't think I've done a set yet since everything like really shut down. No, but that's the thing actually I learned about the pandemic is getting comfortable with like not getting on stage, like
Hmm.
learning how to be productive with possibly not getting on stage and making the most out of that time. And sometimes the best way to like you always want to write jokes, you always want to write jokes, but sometimes you just have to live life
Hmm.
and then let that soak in, seek in, and then whenever you want to write, you felt like you would experience more things, or you had time to process different thoughts that you didn't get a chance to process because you were so in there like, oh, I gotta write, I gotta do that, I gotta do
Hmm.
that, and then you come back actually a lot quite better. And I found that when I went back when I got the chance to perform again, like in July, that's when things reopened up
Hmm.
after like a 4 months break, if not plus. And I realized, like, oh, this was a great time for me to reevaluate the way I write, to get to live different experiences and have different things to talk about on stage. So a break, like a break, either makes you or breaks you. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's a saying. I just made that up, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think you're right though. It's
How
like
about you though? Because you still getting up every Thursday at Showtime, which is awesome.
yeah, almost every Thursday. Like I missed like a week or two.
Rose.
Um, but it's been pretty sick.
Hello?
Um, like
Oh, okay.
sorry, my mom just came in. Yeah, so I've been doing like every Thursday. That's been pretty sick. Fucking sorry, I forget what the question was exactly. You hear me?
It froze for a bit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I can
Um,
hear you.
but yeah, with like the pandemic or whatever, fucking like that's why I started the podcast, right? Like right when
Right.
that's when I started. It was like when everything shut down originally, and then once shit opened up in like July or whatever, like I started doing comedy again, Showtime every week, which was fucking awesome. And now Showtime is like done for the year. I think last week was their last
Was the
show for
last.
the year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, cause like I like Christmas and shit, like less people come out to stuff like that anyway. So I think even like
Yeah.
I think every year they shut down like around this time for the year.
Okay. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do actually. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
miss it for like the next like month or two, cause like I'm so spoiled with Showtime, like so lucky to have that, cause there's no
Right.
other real comedy clubs. Like Levity is like awesome as well, but that's in Hamilton and it's shut down right
Yes.
now, right? It's like
Yeah.
I feel like with Showtime and Levity are like the best two comedy clubs in the whole region.
Yeah. I mean, up until like you have to go back, you have to go all the way down to like Toronto to
Right.
find like another typical comedy club. But they're also it's always different when it's in a smaller scene. It
Hmm.
always feel like if you watch sports teams from like from smaller cities, they actually have like a very loyal fan base, like the Utah Jazz, like they pack an arena in Salt Lake City every time because it's like it feels it has like a homemade vibe to it, and yeah, but it's good to just have that. So if you live, if you love comedy and you live in a city that's like that has a comedy club, like you already got like such a huge. No matter what city you're in, if you live in Toronto or Hamilton or St. Catharines or London, I think wherever else, if you live in a city and
Hmm.
you want to do comedy and there's a comedy club in the city you live in, it's a huge blessing because it's like I mean, that's where comedy lives. So you can go there, watch shows, you can get on and get to meet different comics from everywhere. I think so. That's the best part too. Like you don't have to. You can meet. I'm sure you've met comics from Toronto at showtimes. Like you didn't go to Toronto to meet them, but
Hmm.
you met them there, and then it's where comedy dwells. So yeah, it's cool to have that.
Yeah, I think you're actually like I never really thought about it, but like with the loyal fan base thing, you're so right. Like there's like Taps especially, which is like
Right.
a bar in the Falls that does comedy. Um, there's like a loyal fan base that comes back every week. Even like I see the same
Yeah.
faces, like
Yeah,
And Taps
and
even
that's
gets more
awesome.
packed than Showtime sometimes. It's
Uh,
weird.
yeah, I haven't gotten the chance to do that. I wanna check that room out, and I like the setup it has as well because it's just I saw the picture with just the big plexiglass, and I think uh it's a good show. Every time I hear somebody talk about that show, it's always in the positive light.
Yeah, message Levi, man. Yeah, he'll put you on for sure. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
plexiglass is kind of annoying because you're just like staring yourself in the face during comedy.
Yeah, he has a reflection.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. But like the audience can't see it, but because of like the lights and stuff, it's like you can't see the
Yeah,
audience. You're just like looking at yourself in the eyes.
that's interesting. I remember there's a there's a show in Toronto where it's like you're you're performing to camera
Hmm.
and you're behind the plexiglass, and then the camera, and then there's a T, and then behind, like there's a patio with a TV, and then the people, that's how they see you. They see you through the TV, and
That's
that's
wild.
really, yeah, that's right. That's been the most interesting part of like comedy during COVID is seeing all the innovations people are coming up with to like make comedy work.
Yeah. And it's sick that they're trying so hard, you know what I mean? It's like that
Yeah,
they're going through all these like precautions and shit. Like
yeah,
fuck, man, it's so weird. Like I don't know. I kind of like just like say like I know nothing, try to go with the flow, but it's like
yeah,
all this COVID shit's scary, man. Like I'm scared of like what's next, what's going to
yeah,
happen after this. Like I think everyone's like immune systems are going to be shitty, you know what I mean? We're all like Purelling all the time, like no
yeah,
one's interacting with each other. I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe I'm
It's
a
definitely
conspiracy theorist.
okay. No, but what's it? Okay, what's your biggest conspiracy?
That I actually believe. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. Fuck. Like, I honestly, I think something weird is going on. It's like something seems
yeah, of
off. Where
course.
it's like,
Something is definitely off.
yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like all like. So if you like look at the numbers and stuff, it's like at the beginning the numbers weren't very high compared to what they are now, but the deaths are way higher than they are now.
Right.
Now the numbers have skyrocketed, but like the deaths are lower than they were back in May or whatever. It just seems like we're almost being like way too like shit shouldn't be shutting
Overstood.
down a second time. Like they remember when they said it was only going to be like a month
Um,
of shutdown. Am I cutting out or something? You can't hear me.
yo, this is why I feel like your conspiracy is right because when you're trying to tell me it all froze and all that bits and pieces, so I think they're onto you, man.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Like this is fucking spooky because you as soon as you start explaining the numbers thing, it actually kind of froze. So I didn't get everything that you told
Fuck.
me, but
Yeah, basically what I was saying is
yeah,
like the
yeah,
numbers are higher now than they've
yeah.
ever
No,
been,
that's
at least for Ontario, right?
yeah.
Or for
I think
Canada.
yeah. Every time there's a crisis, some form of crisis, you have to understand that there's this. It can always get politicized, and
Hmm.
it's 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 nearly impossible for us to trust these numbers because of like the testing and the accuracy. There's so many logistics that goes into it
Hmm.
that That the scary part is always the unknown. The scary part is always the unknown, and that's why I focus on the known, which is that human beings were kind of built to be resilient, right? The same way we
Mm.
went through all these ways to make comedy work, we kind of always find a way to make to survive. Like we
Yeah.
always find a way to survive. We always find a way to survive, and that's our nature as species, and we always kind of live with this understanding truth that there's bigger things than us that we can't control, and once these things happen, there's people in positions of power that can control things and the way we see things and all that shit. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a time. It's definitely a scary time, man.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing I heard was this guy. It wasn't like a motivational speaker, but it was talking about how this time of COVID is a time to build like mental resilience. That's really what it is about. It's about building mental resilience and whatever that means to you, whether it means just finding, sometimes just falling back into your hobby so you can have clarity of mind and have a peace of mind, because or just spending more time with family or being more grateful, because it's definitely we're definitely staring in the barrel of death.
Mm-hmm.
So that can push you or the other or not. But yeah, I like the conspiracy theory I have. It's not really a conspiracy theory, but I'm thinking about like how much more paranoid people are gonna be when they smoke weed after getting vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
Because people, because you know when you smoke weed and you're already like paranoid, like, oh, is this the police? Is this the thing? And like you already don't trust your every thought. And then now with the vaccine, people are saying it's a chip. You're gonna be like, oh shit, what the fuck? Am I thinking this, or did they plant this idea in my head? And
Damn. And like people like that just blindly trust the government. It's like you forget like the government is always all governments have well not but like you know what I mean like governments have been doing sketchy shit forever
I think it's
and
true.
it's
We
been
can't
proved, right?
start talking too much about conspiracy.
Yeah, I know it's starting to freeze again,
Yeah,
but I don't know if you heard me there. I've been saying like people just like blindly trusting the governments. Like governments have always been doing sketchy shit, you know? It's not like
of
they
course.
haven't been. So it's like now we just trust them just because. Like I just watched this movie on Netflix. I think with like Tom Cruise in it and shit. But it's like a true story about how like during the Cold War, they were like sending fucking tons of guns and shit to Cuba, right?
Right.
Like the CIA, right? Because like Reagan
Oh
didn't
yeah.
want to like start another war, so he's like sending all this shit, and then like the guy that's like doing that was started bringing back all this cocaine and shit. So it's like the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
the government was like responsible for like a cocaine epidemic in this
Oh yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah. Well, like yeah, they have their own ammo that we're not supposed to find out about. Like
Hmm.
that's what I watched that movie with Tom Cruise. That's a good movie.
Yeah, it was really good. It's sick.
But yeah, I find it funny like where we learn in history class, like they're telling us about during the First World War, Canada, like they use all these posters called propaganda to influence people to go to war, and they're
Hmm.
telling us about all the propaganda the government uses. Them like they don't tell us when they stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as far as I'm concerned, this
Yeah.
is just
They were doing all
I
this
think
fucked up shit, but they're cool now. They're cool now. Trust us.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to write a joke about that, about how like the government has always been hiding in plain sight. Like the
Yeah.
government was the first R. Kelly. Like they just
That's fucking funny,
that was
dude.
his thing. It's hiding in plain sight, and
Yeah.
they're just like, look, we used to do propaganda. I'm like, oh, they used to. I'm like, how do you know that that's not part of it? Like,
Yeah.
and like maybe I have a different view of it because it's freezing.
Oh shit, I'm freezing again. It's funny because when I'm freezing for you, you don't
I come
freeze.
from a country where like I know how corruptible a government can be, and that's just I know that my government is not. Yeah, it's always freezing when we're talking about sketchy shit. Like it was all smooth when we were just talking about comedy.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually the fun part of it is that people have conspiracies now. Now we have ways to find out more information than before. So um, yeah, I think if anything, that's what makes people more at ease now than ever. It's like okay, we don't have to just believe what you tell us. We can find our own truth. But it's also not everybody not everybody people can just run with things that are false, and that's always been a risk. As long as there's been human beings existed, there's always been people who were gonna believe so much in something that's not true and just make it a fact or just start shit. So yeah.
Hmm. We've been talking like I think over an hour now. If you want to
Oh, really? Oh
shout
yeah,
out
it's been
any
like
of your
an hour.
stuff, bro, like is there anywhere you want people to like follow you or?
Uh, yeah.
Oh, I think you froze. Fuck.
I don't have any shows coming up, but you can follow me on Instagram, literally at Moïse Iranzi, Moiseranzy. If you have a show, if you have any comedy shows going on, message me, I guess,
Yeah.
and I'll
Levi,
message people.
message Levi. Get on taps,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, he already. No, no, he already messaged me. He already messaged me, and I'm gonna go on. I think I'm gonna go on a week when there's a driver coming from Hamilton, but he's already. I think they sort of agree, and then besides that, yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Fuck yeah.
I
Merry
guess.
Christmas, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate you doing this
Yeah. Do
shit.
you have anybody to shout out?
Uh, nah. I think the audio is off or something. Like, you don't hear me right away. Can you hear me, bro?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, fuck. It keeps cutting out. Thank you so much for doing this, bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, man. This was really fun.
Yeah, man. I'll see you soon at one of these shows, hopefully.
For sure.
All right, peace, bro.
All right. Peace.
Peace.